All right. So I am so excited today to talk about travel and business. And what a better way to do this than with the inspiring Topaz Smith, who is the CEO and founder of Ennoble, which is a travel brand focused on helping the travel industry become more sustainable and responsible. Today, we are talking about what it's like building a travel brand after traveling and living abroad. Topaz, welcome to the Jazzy Nation. I'm so happy to have you here. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me here. I'm very excited about being with you and also talking to your audience who have learned so much about your experiences as an expat. So thank you for having me.
Yes, we definitely do talk a lot about expat life and the lifestyle, about living abroad and all of that stuff. But something that my audience kind of gravitates towards when they're asking me questions is how to make money, what it's like living abroad, how to find housing, and different things like that. So I definitely want to focus these live streams on bringing that type of value to people so that they are able to, build some tangible aspects of their future life abroad. So one thing I'm going to do really quickly, though, I always forget, I need to not be so cute and fancy. These earrings, they rub against my headphones. So let me take those off. So first and foremost, I want to welcome those of you that are watching on Facebook and here on YouTube. And I want to remind you all to subscribe if you like this type of content, and of course, like this. And if you're watching during the replay, thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, leave a comment below if you have anything to say about our topic today, or you want to ask Topaz any questions. So Topaz, I'm going to get started with our first question for you. So if you wouldn't mind, please tell the audience a little more about you and who you are and what Ennoble is all about.
Sure. So, hi, everyone. My name is Topaz Smith. I'm the founder of Ennoble, which is a travel service that serves seasoned travelers frustrated by mass market options in the tourism industry. We connect them to memorable, authentic, and unique experiences with subcultures existing globally. And what that means is really bringing you to a country like Peru and having you experience Machu Picchu. But not only Machu Picchu are you experiencing, you're able to tap into the Afro-Peruvian community, the Japanese-Peruvian community, doing much more of a holistic approach to the society at large. The many times we go into spaces and we're so focused on this one path, right? This one direction on this is what we're supposed to do. But what about kind of those other experiences and those other silos that we sometimes overlook? So I bring that into the fold when thinking about engaging people in different societies and making sure that they get the most out of their experience. Because I think the most valuable experiences, the most memorable experiences for me was, finding that hole in the wall restaurant in Nice after getting lost 6 times. It was really just grassrootsy local experiences that so many people are just like, how do you even do that? Like, how do you tap into that? I want that experience. And so I try and recreate those for clients interested in that.
Thank you so much. I think that's awesome. And that's why I gravitate to you and to your brand so much. And I wanted to have you here on my channel because I think travel is just so much deeper than the vacations. And, beaches are cute and they're pretty. And we'll get to that later in this talk. But it's more about how can we engage with local people, with the local economy, and just build a richer, more dynamic travel experience. And living abroad, I think, does that, which we'll get to that as well later. But I want to ask you a little bit more about Ennoble in particular. How did you start this travel brand?
Ennoble started because of my many experiences living abroad. I was studying abroad in Rome, and at the time it was me and one other Black female in the program, and the program was pretty large. It was about like 65 other people, predominantly Caucasian, and so I kind of had to recreate an experience for myself because I knew that my experience would be different from theirs. And I think that's kind of how Ennoble started, but I formed it in 2019 legally. Um, but one of the experiences that I always tell people about is my experience of trying to find a place to do my hair. And it was just, it was
It's
something.
so true. Yes.
Trying
The
to do that
struggle.
was just a real struggle. But I ended up just getting on a bus and stalking a Black female on the bus. Like I literally said, if she gets off, she clearly is going to get off in a Black area. I would likely have better chances of finding, somebody to do my hair if I followed her. So I did. And, she ended up being Nigerian Italian and just pushing me into this whole world that I didn't really know of prior to coming to like studying in Italy. And it was just amazing. Tapping into those subcultures and realizing the value that they had for me, a Black female American coming into the space and wanting some type of regular interactions with Black people, but also having to have certain services that I needed in order to look decent. And so that's one of the experiences that I had that I think really made me think about the platforms or the lack in the market that didn't serve people like myself when I wanted to live abroad and have access to certain resources. So that's as well as always trying to find off the beaten path locations. And many times it's like that off the beaten path is like so cliche. So it's like, I don't like to use that word, but that's what people use.
It's
So
so true, though. I mean, I think again, that perspective is what travel is about as well. It's finding the unique paths within the same. We can all travel to Rome and have the same experiences and take the same photos in front of the same places, and you should do those things. But then after you've completed the regular travel experiences, what next? And I
yeah.
think that with what you all do with Ennoble and curating those types of experiences is really rich, and that's awesome. But I think something too that you mentioned with your story is the Black Italian woman that you met on the bus. And even with that, I think, once we're kind of focused with travel up here and more of that surface level, you only see what is on the surface. But once you go deeper, you see that intersectionality of different people and different cultures, and the fact that Black Italians exist, or and
in
that is true
large
about everywhere.
large numbers.
Mm-hmm.
The girl that I had met, the female, the woman rather, she was my age, born and raised in Rome, and she was like, yeah, there's like so many of us all throughout Italy. And I was like, where? you know
Please tell me where.
so that was just an amazing experience. And I think also one thing that led to one of the major reasons why I even went into hospitality was because I'm an immigrant child, first gen, and one thing my parents did, they were like very, very staunch on education. And so they put my sister and I in private schools. My school was focused on international affairs. And so, I had high school students or students around me that were from like China, South Africa, Italy, Serbia. So I was always
Wow.
like, my colleagues were like from different places in the world, at a very young age, 14, 15. And as well, each year we went to a different country. And so we studied the language and the history and the culture. And so I was very, open to different cultures. And I kind of saw those intersections from a very young age, studying Spain and Portugal and South Africa, Japan, Brazil. And then going to these places and understanding the language, like there were so many cultural nuances that I was open to. And I think when I started to see travel for myself, like going abroad, I was just like always looking, like digging into like the deeper stuff because that's how I was trained, right? And it's interesting because when I went to Portugal, I was 14, and like basically we went by ourselves, but we had like our teachers and our headmaster there. But I was like in a Porto shopping by myself at 14,
That is
laying out on the
cool.
Algarve. Yeah. It was interesting. And that's when I saw all these Afro-Portuguese people. And I was just like, yes, this is interesting, and it just gave me a deeper perspective. And so I was always kind of wanting to learn more about the travel guide or the tour guide that would bring us on. And I would like ask them questions about things that weren't even relevant to like the church that we were visiting. And they were just like, we're focused on the church. And I'm like, but I want to know where you're from.
Right. You're just like, I'm
So
not sidetracked. I just want to know some different things.
exactly. So that's just been the way I've approached travel from a very young age.
Well, that's really, really interesting. And I love that you've had these types of experiences since such a young age, because
Yeah.
I believe, I mean, I don't know you that well, but just in our couple of meetings so far, I believe those experiences have made you into the person that you are today, and obviously has helped shape the businesses and business that you're currently doing now. So I think that's awesome. I have another question about Ennoble. And what's great is Ennoble is you. So I love how, I get these stories coming out as well. But my next question for you is, it regards the pandemic. So how has the
Ooh,
pandemic shifted your business? And can you share some behind the scenes of what work is currently like? We kind of had
sure.
a little conversation before this, so I kind
Yeah,
of want to know
yeah.
a little more.
Oh my days. The pandemic. It's like you start a
Right.
sentence, you start a sentence and you're like, yeah, I did this awesome thing, but COVID.
There's a pandemic.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, I've launched the business in 2020. In 2019, I brought a group of people to
Wow.
Bali. Yeah. So I was literally in the process, I brought people to Bali, had an amazing experience. And then I had gone back to Peru. I've been to Peru several times. I actually backpacked Peru. That was the first time I went there after grad school before I went into the Peace Corps. Um,
That's such a dream place for me. Like, it's on my list. So that's
yeah,
cool to
oh my
hear.
days. Yeah, it's warm for me. I get to the airport and I'm like, oh, I'm home. so, um, so yeah, so I think this 2020. I started out 2019. Well, I ended 2019 rather on the verge of really pushing to sell, the experiences that I was creating in Peru, Cabo Verde, Sao Tome, and Principe, and the Netherlands. But I had ended 2019 in Peru and the Azores, uh, also known as the Azores. Um,
Mhm.
and when COVID hit, it was like, yeah, like something is going on in the world. Like this is bad. This is potentially going to stop travel for a bit, but 6 months out, right? We have hope.
Okay.
You know,
Yep. I felt that too.
And so it just kept on being like 6 months. So it's like, okay, right now, since I can't sell this, and focus on content, like focus on like interviewing different subcultures in New York City and tapping into those spaces to have options for people who want that intercultural dialogue closer to home. So like that's what I was really focused on. And then it was like, no, it's more time than 6 months. And so I decided to do much more in terms of content focus in New York, which is one of the things that I sell. I sell
Yeah.
the opportunity to tap into subcultures in multicultural cities because that's really the space where my target market lies. People who have an understanding of cultural diversity, know why it's so important, and are part of cross cultural communication. Like this is their life,
Yeah.
and so I just started to tap into New York and focus on the domestic spaces here. And I think also during this time, there was a lot of business development happening on my end, website and contacts and partnerships and certain things like that. That became 2020. But now, kind of behind the scenes, what's happening is I'm creating more experiences for people here and kind of like formalizing it in a way of guides and so they can experience like different continents here and do that through ethnic grocery stores, restaurants, and um, social spaces that they can find locals and engage with them. I know COVID definitely limits so much of in-person activity, and so
Right.
I've also created a virtual focused on more virtual experiences, and that includes Afro-Peruvian cooking class that I recently shot, and that's going to be live in February. Well, we're in February, later this month.
It went by fast. The year's already gone by fast.
Yeah. And I'm going to be doing more in terms of allowing people to tap into these natives. I think a lot of people want to engage on a local level with people, and so I'm going into homes that are open to me because I'm COVID free, to kind of shoot the experience with a South Indian vegan, with an Afro-Peruvian woman cooking African stew, and just so many other cultures that are ready and willing to kind of share themselves. So I think that's kind of what's happening behind the scenes right now. But I would say there's a lot of also partnerships and like building awareness around Ennoble, and the diverse way in which we approach travel and want to kind of spread travel equity so that there's more people of color that are able to share their value and highlight it in a way that, where we're showing why they matter as well, and how brands and larger companies can kind of tap into their talent. So I think that's kind of what's happening right now. Obviously, COVID is just kind of just there lingering, but I hope to, for later this year and in 2022, I really hope to kind of push for, selling the experiences in these different countries because they're suffering as a result. I was recently speaking to, someone who owns a very high-end travel agency, and it's sad. People are abroad. They're having to switch to farming. They're having to switch to different sectors so to provide for themselves, when hospitality was like their bread and butter. And I mean, hospitality is $1 trillion industry. A lot of the times the skill set that hospitality workers have it's so intangible, because it's experiences you really can't quantify. It's like a feeling of just like, whoa, that was priceless.
Right.
And so them having to switch into industries where it's like super like, oh, you have to name it. It's been challenging for hospitality workers. And, I know that while tapping into in the hospitality industry and speaking to professionals, they themselves have spoken out about, the challenges around just hiring, and going into different sectors just because of the lack of awareness in terms of what hospitality workers provide. But there are so many transferable skill sets, right?
Right.
I myself have gone from hospitality to international affairs, and I know that I leaned a lot on my experiences in hospitality, working in the Amalfi Coast in Positano, while doing that at the UN. There were so many things that I brought in, right, because I had those transferable skill sets. So, it's a challenge right now, definitely, for hospitality. And I think the best we can do is try and just use what we have to create those similar experiences online or in person for those people who want to be out there.
Yeah, that actually, that's near and dear to my heart. And it hurts my heart to just hear that people abroad and locally are, kind of losing their livelihood when it comes to the tourism industry and what they have made, money off of for years and even decades if it's like family run. So I think it's really cool that you are focused on kind of building that up, from that, more grassroots level and just supporting communities and individuals as well. I was in India before this. That's where I lived. And I worked with she was a travel agent, and she's awesome. Her name is Janti, and her business model was to take people throughout Hyderabad, and she was just amazing. And she also did cooking classes. Would take people to homes and introduce them to people, and the guests would get to cook in actual homes. So all the things that you would love to do if you're able to travel. And obviously COVID hit her really hard. And so some of the programs that I helped her set up with my community members were virtual. So I'm glad that you are leaning into that virtual route, because although it might seem kind of like, oh, virtual traveling, that's different, I don't know if I'd want to do that. There is such a market for that as well, because there's so many people that want to travel. And I would say that I was actually really nervous, because I was like, okay, I'm going to put up this virtual program. I don't know if my community members are going to want to pay the money for this, but I really want to support her. And we had such a good turnout of people.
Wow.
And so it's just proof that, one, people want to support each other, people want to support small businesses, but we are all itching to travel. And if we can't do it now, we'll do it virtually. So I think that's a great space that you are leaning into. But I also like how 2020 was like the year that you were building. 2021 is kind of the year that you are still building and recuperating and really getting started. And then 2022, I could see it. I could see that vision. It's going to be amazing. So hopefully sooner than later. But yeah, I think for a lot of us that are looking to travel and those within the travel industry, 2022 is definitely going to be the year for travel, for business, and all of that stuff. So I have another question for you. So you mentioned Peace Corps, and I believe you mentioned study abroad. So how did you get into both of those realms of travel and living abroad?
So when I went to Portugal at 14, I was like, so I gotta live in Europe because America is whack. Like I was 14 and I came to that. I was like, I am living here for some time.
So young, and you already had the epiphany.
Yeah. And you know, what's interesting was that once I did get the chance to study abroad in college, because I told myself, I was like, you're looking for the study abroad program in college. Like that's actually what's going to decide whether or not you go to that college.
Smart. Yep.
So yeah. So I really wanted to do Egypt at first, just because it's Egypt.
Yeah.
Or at least the history of Egypt, rather, I would say, because I went to Egypt, and that's another conversation. But I decided when I decided to go to Egypt, the Arab Spring happened, so I couldn't go. And then my mom was just like, yeah, you're not going to Egypt. So I was like, all right, fine. I'll do Rome or Paris. And I picked
Both
Rome.
Great options.
I know, but I picked Rome because I don't know, why did I end up picking Rome? I think it's so romanticized. So I was like, I'm just going to go to Rome. And so I ended up going, and that experience, that I wanted to do that because I couldn't go to Egypt, and because I always wanted to go abroad and live for some time, especially Europe. So that kind of dictated why I made that decision. In terms of Peace Corps, I had gone to graduate school. During graduate school, there was a lot of returned Peace Corps volunteers, and they had spoken to me about their experience. And ultimately, my goal was go to Peace Corps, become a diplomat. So like, that's kind of what led me to go to Peace Corps. So I applied. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is that it took me 3 tries, because when I was
Oh, I think we might have lost Topaz. But I'll just chime in really quickly while we see if we can get her back. It's just super interesting, her story and the journey that she has been on, obviously, from the beginning of travel at 14 to now building up this travel brand. But this is something that I want to push to all of you out there, because a lot of you ask me, how can I start traveling? How do you save money traveling? How can I live abroad? And all of these questions that are more technical, that don't just apply to vacationing and going somewhere for just a short period of time, basically becoming an expat. And I've talked about this in a previous stream before, as well as talked about, just ways to make money and getting a job and different things like that. And Peace Corps is an option. Study abroad is an option. Becoming a diplomat is an option. There are so many options, and I highly recommend. It's kind of like school in general. So if you're just tuning in, we're waiting for Topaz to come back. Her video froze up. But it's kind of like going to school. Like I personally, I mean, unless I can pay full price to go back to school without taking out any more loans, that's probably how I would do it. Another way that I would probably go back to school is fellowships or internships or things like that. So school to me reminds me of living abroad. I would not necessarily want to live abroad unless I had some sort of tangible opportunity to do so. And tangible meaning already have a job, already have some sort of volunteer opportunity, or already have a plan. So a lot of people ask me, how do I live abroad? And they don't really have a plan. And so I always think about living abroad and becoming an expat as that end goal. So with anything, you want to look at your end goal. What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to go? And then work backwards. So what do you need to do to achieve that end goal? And so finding employment is that first thing. And I think it's really cool that Topaz actually did two of those things, Peace Corps and study abroad. And now she gets to experience travel herself through her company and through other people because she has a travel brand. And that is so, so important. Her power just went on, her power just went out, and it'll come back on hopefully. But I want to say, if you have any questions, this has been such a valuable stream so far. I'm so happy that Topaz has been able to come on the stream today, hang out with me, because I do feel like these streams are so much more fun when we have more people engaging. And so I want you all to engage as well. Tell me where you're watching from, either in the live comments, or if you're watching the replay, definitely put it down in the comment section below. And tell me what questions you have for myself, for Topaz, or for future content, because I am here to help and I am here to serve. Of course, subscribe to this channel. You don't want to miss out on a future video or future upload. And I want to say this as a caveat, I have been, and she's coming back, so just hold on. I have been a little MIA on the Jazzy Nation this week because I've been working on some fun things. I created a new channel, and my new channel is amazing so far. It is my name, Jasmine Okocha, which I don't think I've ever said on the Jazzy Nation. I'm a little more private, but I'm working on being more open, sharing my real raw self with you all in the future. So my name is my channel, Jasmine Okocha, and that channel is super fun. I've already got 2 videos on it, and the first real video is all about food and stories and Black History Month. So I'm starting off with a bang. And for those of you on this stream right now, I'm going to give you a sneak peek into the next video. I wish I had some clips to actually show you guys, but I'll just tell you what we're working on. So it's a recipe all about teas from around the world. And I am going to be making at least 2 teas from 2 places that I've lived. And I've already started editing the footage, and the footage is really, really cool. It's really, really cool so far. It's just I'm so excited. Of course, I will be back on the Jazzy Nation. I just feel like when you're in a rut a little bit, it's okay to start something fresh and start something new. Obviously, I'm not going to abandon the Jazzy Nation, but we're just kind of doing things simultaneously. So yeah, I think that it's been super cool so far. So please subscribe to that channel. Again, it's called Jasmine Okocha. Right now, it's tied to the Jazzy Nation, so you'll be able to find it a little easier. But definitely tune into those videos. And what's funny, so that first video that I have that I'm making food, it's all about rice recipes. So I've got a jollof rice recipe. Well, I'm not sharing recipes. I'm making the food and eating the food and telling the story. So jollof rice, my mother-in-law helped me make it. And it's funny because I posted it on Instagram, and I'm already getting people in the comments saying, Ghanaian jollof is better than Nigerian jollof. So, if you want me to make a Ghanaian jollof in the future, you got to let me know. But yeah, definitely check out that for the Nigerian jollof. And then I make a jerk chicken with rice and then a shrimp Creole dish with rice as well. So I think that, let me see really quickly if we can get her back. I will. Another minute for you. Yeah, we'll wait another minute for Miss Topaz. I'm just so happy. Like, she's literally providing so much value in the stream. And I'm sad that it went away because she was like right in the thick of her story. And it was just all so good. I do want to say, though, if you have questions for myself or for Topaz, please leave them down in the comment section below. And of course, you can actually find her at ennoble.com, and she's also at Ennoble on Instagram as well, so you can find her information there. We'll wait for another minute, and while I wait, if you have any questions, please leave the questions down in the comment section below so that I can answer them. And also, I want to thank you all so much for tuning into the Q&A last week. That was a lot of fun. So keep your questions for the Q&A for this coming month. We're already in February. For this month, February, keep your questions for that, because I definitely want to answer them. Like, it was just so much fun. So yeah, I am just chilling here, waiting for Topaz to come back. Let's see. I am loving doing live streams once a week. And I'm thinking about possibly doing live streams on Instagram. I don't know if you all prefer Instagram or if you prefer YouTube. I know that with Instagram, people kind of can tune in and chime in a little bit quicker and a little easier. But yeah, I think it's all just a matter of where you guys are watching from and where you prefer to watch. I know that sometimes watching on your phone is a thing, and sometimes picking up your phone is a lot easier than just like turning on a whole computer. So this is like a whole setup. I've got my microphone here. I've got a light behind me, and I just got new lights, especially for my new channel, because that has been a lifesaver. Because you don't know what you don't know. And I think starting this new cooking channel has been a revelation for me, in thinking that I knew how to do YouTube, but realized that, doing new stuff is completely different. And so it's been a whole process, and it's been something that I am constantly trying to get better at. I'm even trying to figure out, new and innovative ways to make the Jazzy Nation better, which is why we're doing live streams, because I think after how many years have I been doing this? Like 5, talking about like expat life stuff. I moved to Morocco about 5 years ago. That was the first country that I lived in, and then moved to India like 2.5 years later. So, oh my gosh, I'm dying. Oh my gosh. This is crazy. It's really crazy to be on a platform for so many years and to still feel like you have so much to learn. So I'm constantly learning, constantly doing research, constantly trying to figure out what you guys want to learn from me. And it's been good. I definitely can't wait to put out more content for you guys. But I think that unless Topaz is going to come right back, then we're going to just have to have her on again. We're going to have her on again, because this was so good, super valuable. I want to let you all know that if you want to find me, I'm mostly on YouTube, honestly. Social media, it's just extra. So if you can't find me on Instagram at the Jazzy Nation, then you can find me here on YouTube at the Jazzy Nation, or Jasmine Okocha at my new channel. So definitely find me there. And y'all, I'm like dying with coughing and stuff. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to today's stream. I so appreciate you all. And I will, again, have Topaz back on again in the future because she has so much to share. And this was just a lot of fun. So thank you all so much for tuning in. And I will talk to you all in the next one. I'll see you later. Bye.